Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new week of the Houston Sports Weekly podcast here on KPRC2 Plus. Click to Houston.com. We bring you the latest in Houston sports news each and every week. Pleasure to be with you once again today. If you're listening, or perhaps you've got it pulled up on your phone and your desktop, your any kind of device, really, to check it out. We appreciate you doing that. I'm Randy McAvoy, KPRC2 Sports Director. Fun podcast today that we're going to bring you. It's kind of a two-parter. A little bit later, we're going to hear from KPRC2 Sports' Ari Alexander. He's got some Astros chatter for you, including the latest from GM Dana Brown, who spoke on Thursday at Minute Maid Park at the club's annual pre-camp media luncheon to unveil all the new cool stuff they're going to have at the Minute Maid Park this season. And also, he spoke with the media after the luncheon as well about what he's been up to since taking over the job. He talked about long-term deals, trying to get the stars locked up and getting owner Jim Crane's support, which he feels like he has, and as they move forward to keep the winning tradition going. That's coming up here on the second segment of this podcast. This first segment, though, is more about football and D'Amico Ryans. Earlier this week, I had the chance to spend some time with former Houston Texans head coach, Houston native, St. Pius High School, Texas A&M Aggie quarterback Gary Kubiak. You know Kubes well. We all love Kubes. Coach here, head coach from 2006 through 2013. When he came home, led this organization to the playoff win. Unfortunately, 2013, things didn't go as planned, and the Texans as an organization made a move, but he went on to go to Denver to win a Super Bowl 2 years later, and took another break, and then finished up a couple of years ago with the Minnesota Vikings as their offensive coordinator. Really cool stuff with Gary Kubiak. It wasn't a typical Zoom or anything like that. He invited me out to his farm, and we went to his farm and in Plantersville, hung out for a while. He even brought us breakfast. It was really cool. But we had a good talk, not only about his career, but also about D'Amico Ryans, the new Texans head coach. Of course, he was first year on the job. He drafted D'Amico Ryans. He and the guys at the NRG, they went with D'Amico Ryans, then a linebacker out of Alabama. He came here, played through 2011, then finished up in Philadelphia, and then began his coaching career, rising the ranks quickly, and then, of course, landing the job not long ago with the Houston Texans. But I went there specifically to talk about how Gary's doing in retirement life. So we're going to have a little bit of that conversation, and also a lot more from Gary on D'Amico Ryans as well. So right now we're going to listen into that conversation. And again, coming up, segment 2, we'll have some Astros chatter as well from Ari Alexander. But right now, we're going to listen inside part of my conversation with former Texans head coach, Houston's own Gary Kubiak. Listen in. Do you miss the grind part of what you went through and all the success you had? Do you miss that sometimes?
Yeah, Randy, I do. You know, it's when you've been so competitive, you know, your whole life, and each week for half of a year, you know, either won a game or you got beaten, you had to come back the next week. So that gets in you. You know, I missed being around the coaches. I missed being around players, having an effect on players' lives. You know, watching a young kid come into the league that I'm sitting there going, man, this guy's going to be special. And, you know, helping him in his growth and becoming a man, becoming a player. I miss that. You know, now I get a lot of gratification from old players coming up and say, Coach, how you doing? And see how well they're doing, and you know, become a great man and great fathers, great husbands. You know, but once it's in you, it never leaves. But this place helps me leave it a little bit each day.
How do you? People love to know kind of how you spend your days out here. You got that big piece of land. You stay busy. You've got cattle out here. I mean, you got a routine you go through, don't you?
Now, first off, don't ever think I'm a farmer now. I'm a city boy from the Heights, you know. So that hasn't changed. But you know, I'm kind of learning new things. You know, I took an interest in you know, raising cattle and stuff. I have a brother-in-law who's kind of taught me how to do it. We kind of mess around together. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of my team out there. So when you leave today, I'll go out there and feed my team. And,
there you go.
good thing they don't talk back, so it's awesome, But
you can talk to them, though.
Yeah, there you go. But it keeps me busy, responsibilities each day. But yeah, Ron and I are freed up to travel a lot more than we have, and be a bigger part of our kids' lives, and watch them as they go about their work.
And you got your 3 sons all in the game right now, following Dad's footsteps. How exciting has that been? What advice do you give them?
Well, I tell you what, it's crazy because it's a great business, but it's a hard business. Yeah. And, as they're out there trying to make their way, obviously they have decisions to make and things to do. So I'm always there for them, but you got to let them go too. You got to let them do their deal and have their ups and downs along the way, just like their dad did. So try to support them, try to explain to them the importance of being around good people and good, hardworking people and putting in the effort to be, if anything you're going to do in life, you have to work hard. Right. And coaches get a lot of credit for how many hours they work in that, but I know you work a lot of hours yourself. So that's just part of life, and when you have a passion, get after it, give it everything you have. It's never going to be easy. And when it's not good, keep pushing. And when it is good, be humble and enjoy it. So just keep working at it.
And when you look back at all your stops, you had the Super Bowl in Denver. I know you got a lot of fond memories of probably every stop you're at.
Well, the majority of my career was in Denver, playing and coaching. I think between those two, I was there 24, 25 years. I'm not quite sure. That doesn't happen nowadays, really, in the business. So I was very fortunate to raise my family kind of in one place. But, really the highlight for me was coming back here, just having a chance. I mean, I knew what I was coming back to. I knew it was a startup organization. It was going to have to learn how to win. I had a lot of work to do if we were going to win. And that old saying, you got to do everything right, and it's still hard, but we had to do everything right. And, the day we beat Cincinnati in that playoff game and to see that place, I don't think I'll ever forget that day. And I've had some great moments in pro football, but that moment will always stick out. But just as having a chance to come back here as a man, and I was a kid that grew up in this town, with Pastorini and the guys playing and rooting for them. So that was pretty cool, but amazing how time flies. That was a long time ago.
How difficult was it? I mean, you took the job, hometown. With that, is it added pressure because it is your hometown when you look back at that?
Well, it is tough. I don't know if it's added pressure. I think there's pressure. If you get any one of those jobs, there's going to be pressure. I think the fact that you're in your hometown and, a lot of people tugging on you, which is a good thing. I mean, they're friends and family and people that care about your livelihood and what you're doing, So that made things different. But I give Rhonda the credit there. She kept that all under control. I drove up to Kirby every day and went to work and tried to make it right. So, I look back on it now. Was it tough? Yeah, but was it special? You bet.
There you go. I want to ask you about D'Amico. Obviously, that's the big news right now. How happy were you to see one of your former players here in Houston coming back home? He said it was a dream job. And I know he's been having success there in San Francisco. What did that mean to you to see him up on that stage?
Yeah, it was an interesting year. And D'Amico and I had lunch somewhere off of Westheimer. I don't want to advertise. I can't remember. About 2 days before we went to training camp this year. And we went and sat for about an hour and had lunch and just talked about his career. And, he asked me, Kub, when do you know it's time to take one of these jobs, or when do you know it's right, and so we had a great conversation, and I'll be darned, it ends up happening for him this year. So I have such respect for him as a person. I think a lot of us guys tried to get him into coaching. He was a little apprehensive at first, but I think once he got in, his talent's just tremendous, his ability to relate to people, but yet his respect factor that he gets from people as he's doing his job. God, I'm just so happy for the town. It's going to be exciting to watch. We all know he's going to work his tail off. It won't be easy. It never is. But people are going to want to come in here and help him and work hard for him. And it'll be exciting. Looking forward to opening day.
Are you shocked at the success he's had in a relatively short period of time coaching?
I'm really not, because, that's the way he was with us. I mean, he comes to us. We're not a very good team at the time. We throw him right in middle linebacker from day one. He ran our team. I think that open year, we won 6 games. We beat the Colts, who were the world champs that year. Right. So we had some good things going on, and really he was the one that started it. And you go back and look at that. So he's always been successful. He's always been a class act. And when he got involved with San Francisco, I kept up with him a great deal because of Johnny Holland, because of Kyle, and all you heard every day was holy smokes, And then Clay, my middle son, when he went to the 49ers 2 years ago, actually worked with D'Amico every day. He was D'Amico's quality control guy, so it was like conversation every 2 days. Dad, you got to see D'Amico run a room, and you got to see him with these guys. He's amazing. So I heard it every day, so it does not surprise me. And you knew the minute he got in front of the right people interviewing, it's just a matter of time.
What advice, if you're asked, would you give him for a guy like D'Amico who's played the game, who's coached now for a few years, been a coordinator, he's getting his first chance now as a head coach because now there's so many things to manage. What advice do you give?
Yeah, that's a tough thing. I've been asked that a couple of times this week. I told somebody the other day. I told him, D'Amico, it'll get done. You just keep working. Remember, I said that things will get done. You're going to feel overwhelmed at times. You got to have patience because when you lose your patience, you think you have to do something too soon or make it happen too soon, you make mistakes. But that's the way he's built. That's the type of person he is. So it's the way he's lived his life. So D'Amico's not going to change. I mean, he's going to have that big smile every day, but yet he has an amazing way of pushing people and players and motivating players. Don't lose sight of that. D'Amico knows how to get after the guys and what needs to be done for them to be successful. So, hey, let's all support him. I'm sure Cal and Nick will support him with really good people around him. That's extremely important, but we all know he's going to do his part.
All right, great chat with Gary Kubiak. That was just a portion of our conversation that we had there at his farmhouse there in Plantersville, talking all things about his life in retirement now and all things about new head coach D'Amico Ryans. Appreciate the time with Gary Kubiak. Much more on that conversation on Sports Sunday coming up this weekend and in the weeks ahead as well. So special thanks to former Texans head coach Gary Kubiak for that great insight. All right, we're going to take a break here on Houston Sports Weekly. As promised, when we come back, I'm going to hand the microphone over to KPRC2 sports reporter Ari Alexander. Ari with more. He was out at Minute Maid Park with me on Thursday at the Astros luncheon, and we all were in on the interview with new GM Dana Brown. So Ari will talk some Astros and have some conversation with the GM Dana Brown as well. When Houston Sports Weekly continues, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Houston Sports Weekly. I'm Ari Alexander, and in this segment of the show, we're going to be talking about the Houston Astros, who are getting ready to head to spring training next week. They've got a new general manager, Dana Brown, who we had some time to talk with at the Astros media luncheon, and I really liked how Brown was open and forthright about what's going on with the Astros, things like contract extensions, arbitration, and topics like that. He comes from the Braves that did a lot of these long-term contract extensions with a number of guys like Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Spencer Strider, Michael Harris II. They did one with Matt Olson after they traded for him, and so it's a different philosophy that he's going to be bringing to the Astros. We're going to hear from Dana Brown on a number of different topics in a bit, including I asked him about Christian Javier and Kyle Tucker. Those guys are the two guys left in arbitration. Tucker's arbitration case has already happened but is yet to be ruled, and Christian Javier's arbitration will be heard on Friday. Javier filed for $3.5 million. The Astros filed for $3 million. Tucker filed for $7.5 million. The Astros filed for $5 million. The player either wins or the team wins, or they can settle at the last second, or they can settle for an extension. Dana Brown said that there are extension discussions. I thought it was interesting. He mentioned the agents for both Kyle Tucker and Christian Javier by name. These are people that he's going to be working with, and it feels like he's peeling back the curtain a little bit, because that's something, if you're the casual fan, like some of us that work in the industry that cover these guys, like I can make that connection of, okay, Kyle Tucker, Excel Sports Management, Casey Close runs Excel, but Jason Romano is his day-to-day guy, right? As a fan, you don't need to know that. But I thought it was cool that Dana Brown was mentioning these guys by name of, this is the agent we're talking to, mentioning by name, meaning I have a personal relationship with this guy, is kind of what he was trying to signify, and really working toward goodwill for both the players and the club. So we're going to hear from Dana Brown, some of what he had to say in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the World Baseball Classic. I mean, the Astros have a gigantic amount of players in the World Baseball Classic. I'm going to pull up the list here that the Astros sent out. And so especially we're talking about coaches and players. They have 19 players and staff in the World Baseball Classic. A lot of these guys, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the 19 are with the Dominican Republic team. As KPRC2 first reported, Jeremy Pena committed to play for the DR in the WBC. Now that the rosters are officially out, you see that Jeremy Pena is on the roster. He is the one Astros position player on the Dominican team, but they have a number of pitchers. When I spoke with Nelson Cruz at the winter meetings in December, he joked that we're going to throw out Sandy Alcantara, the 2022 NL Cy Young winner from the Marlins, and then we're going to let the Astros take care of it. So Framber Valdez pulled out of the World Baseball Classic, but Christian Javier, Rafael Montero, Hector Neris, all those guys, Brian Abreu, and Ronel Blanco, who is the Astros AAA closer and pitched a little bit for the Astros last year as a reliever. He's also in that designated player pool, which is a very convoluted explanation, but basically if a guy pulls out, you can pull a guy from your player pool and then he can continue. So he's on the team, but will be kind of using a backup role. Martin Maldonado, he'll be on Team Puerto Rico. Astros hitting coach Alex Cintron will be helping Team Puerto Rico. Derek West will be with the Team Netherlands. And then the Venezuelan team has a heavy Astros presence as well. Jose Altuve, Luis Garcia. The manager is Astros base coach Omar Lopez and their bullpen catcher Javier Bracamonte. Jose Urquidy will be pitching for Team Mexico. Team USA has Ryan Presley and Kyle Tucker. Colton Gordon in the minor league system will be pitching for Team Israel. And we also want to give a shout out to Josh Wolf, a local high school product here in Houston in the Cleveland Guardians system. He's pitching for Team Israel. And then Michael Collins will be part of, a staffer will be part of Team Australia. So very excited for the World Baseball Classic. You got a lot of Astros on there, and all eyes will be on specifically some of these bullpen guys for the Dominican team and Christian Javier, and of course, starting Dominican shortstop, the World Series MVP, the ALCS MVP, and of course, friend of the program here at KPRC, Jeremy Pena. But now let's get back to the GM, Dana Brown, and what he had to say at the Astros media luncheon.
Well, the mega contracts, I'm not that big on. I'm like Jim in that respect. I'm somewhere in the middle. The mega contracts, I believe in the mega contracts. If you can get a player probably in his early 20s and you can get a mega contract and get him through 32 or 33. I'm not really a big proponent of the mega contracts. Once the guy reaches, 25, 26, 27, I think it gets a little bit more difficult because now you're getting into the back end of his career. The dollars are high. So I'm more of a long-term contract like that, more so earlier in his career. Now, when he's 25 and it's a 5-year deal or 6-year deal, those are the ones that I don't like to see walk out of the door. Yeah, I think it's a balance. I think there's some give and take. I think, some agents understand that it's wise to lock up their players, and some agents feel like, hey, I think my guy has a chance of getting a longer deal. So I think that's where the player has to step in and say, hey, I think this is a good opportunity. And as I said before, Houston's a great place to play. The fan base is outstanding. It's the middle of the country. You don't have to fly all over the place from one end to the other. Those are some attractive things for the players. I think Jim is open to long-term deals. I think you have to explain it to him and make him understand, look, taking this risk is a good risk. The return of interest on this is pretty good. And so I think if you convince Jim in that way, because I understand the long-term deals, a lot of them don't end up well. And I think if you make a compelling argument to tell Jim, look, this guy's a good player, the makeup is pretty special, he's infectious personality around the clubhouse, the manager loves him, those kind of things, I think Jim will be on board. I think you just have to slowly convince him and understand that, hey, you're going to get a return of investment on this. So I believe that you have to be patient if things are working fine, right? More aggressive if things are falling out of control. Right now, things are fine. I think in 25 is the year that I'm really focused on, where you may lose some of your free agency, And those are some things that I'm locked in on. For example, we have to get our draft picks right because we're going to be relying on them in 25 and 26. And so those are some of the things that I'm more focused on. However, I have to focus on the Major League team because it's a good Major League team right now. But if we come up with an injury or if something else like that happens, I have to be able to react and make a move to help us win games. I mean, I know that, look, they're going to come after us. We're a target right now because we won the World Series. At the end of the day, I have to be ready to make adjustments to improve the team. But the focus right now for me is to be on the future as we maintain and sustain this winning. Yeah, I think Bregman's a core piece. I think Altuve's a core piece. I remember scouting Bregman in college. He's a really good player, and he's had an outstanding Major League career. I think we should try to lock him up. We will be in talks with Boris about that. But at the end of the day, I believe in keeping players like that. I think he's got great energy, great respect. His personality in the clubhouse is infectious. Everything I've heard about him from people who've been around him more is outstanding. And I know he played that way in college, and I remember scouting him when he was in college. So, yeah, we'll be locked in on him. Yeah, so I believe when much is given, much is required. I'm required to really be and pay attention to details as to what we need to do to win. I mean, winning means everything to me. I just want to be a part of a winner. So I will be sensitive to what our needs are, and I would have to shake off the wants, but the needs are probably the most important because those are the things that's going to get you over the hump. The wants could get you in trouble. The needs are very important. That's what I'm locked in on. And right now, there's a pretty good team, and I feel really good about it. So does Dusty. And I know right now, if our players come out and continue to play like they've been playing, the team will continue to strive.
All right, good to hear from the GM, Dana Brown. Definitely some shifting philosophies, and it looks like I know that he doesn't want to fix what's not broken, but at the same time, he's got his own ideas. I think he's such an interesting guy. He played baseball at Seton Hall on the same team, the lineup here. So you have, the Astros GM was part of the lineup. John Valentin, longtime former Milwaukee Brewers shortstop, played for the Mets for a little bit. He was batting ninth, that they like to joke around about that. And then Mo Vaughn, the former big-time Red Sox Angel Met, he was on that team. And, of course, Craig Biggio, who had some great things to say to Jim Crane about Dana Brown, and a big reason that he is now part of the Houston Astros. So those Seton Hall guys got to be very proud of their guy. Dana Brown said he had 800 text messages congratulating him when he got the GM job. So good to hear from Dana Brown. And then another thing that was going on with the Astros, the World Baseball Classic, with these 19 players and staff, with all these guys gone, it opens up opportunities for a number of different guys to step up and have more at-bats in spring training. So we look at some of these guys. For instance, Jeremy Pena, with him being gone at that shortstop role, you have a chance for, it depends if they want to keep using Pedro Leon. He's going to be out with that injury, so that opens up another spot for a guy like David Hensley, who is likely to fill the role of Aledmus Diaz is leaving behind. So a guy like Hensley would be filling that role potentially and have more time at shortstop. Speaking of, Jose Altuve, second baseman, he's gone. So you have a number of different guys that have a chance to work in at second base. Mauricio Dubon could get plenty of at-bats in spring training. You look at the outfield, Kyle Tucker, he's gone. He's going to be playing for Team USA. You look at the pitching staff, and then, of course, catchers. So Martin Maldonado, he's going to be with Team Puerto Rico, and that means that Corey Lee and Jainer Diaz are going to get a lot of at-bats over there at catcher. And then from the bullpen especially, you might be able to identify a few of these guys. A guy like Forrest Whitley, for instance, who's been in the system forever, who's been a top prospect for a long time. He's going to be able to get innings. When you look at that Astros rotation, You have some guys missing. Jose Urquidy is gone. Christian Javier is gone. Luis Garcia is gone. You're going to need to fill those innings in spring training. So a guy like J.P. France, a guy like Sean Dubin, those guys are going to have an opportunity to step up and show what they have for the Astros, because when we get to that 6-man rotation, it's going to be interesting. The Astros do have a lot of pitching depth, but very quickly, let's say 2 injuries happen, or even short-term injuries. Jose Urquidy has some minor things here and there every once in a while, and then you're obviously pushing a lot of these pitchers further than they've ever gone before in their career, past the first 6 of Fromber, Javier, McCullers, Garcia, Urquidy, Hunter Brown. It's not a whole lot of depth there. It's a lot of guys that have either very limited major league innings or have no major league innings. So that's going to be something that we'll have to take a look at for the Astros. But spring training starting next week. Everyone excited about the baseball season, especially when you are the defending champs like the Astros are. They've got a new PR campaign. Level Up was 2022. They leveled up. They won the World Series. And now it is ready. The number 2 reign. Ready to reign as the kings of baseball from their World Series championship in 2022. We'll see if they can become the first team to repeat since the 1998, 9, and 2000 New York Yankees. It has been a long, long time since someone has won back-to-back MLB World Series titles. It is very hard to repeat in baseball. It's very hard to repeat in football. Less hard in basketball and hockey to repeat, but baseball has proven that it's been very difficult for a long time. So this has been Houston Sports Weekly. Thanks for watching on click2houston.com in the KPRC 2 Plus app. And we're ready for baseball season just like you are.